Hello everyone, this is part 28 of What If Naruto Traveled Back in Time and Changed, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Konoha Council Chambers 36 days after leaving for Snow Country mission. Naruto, Ino, Temari and Samui appeared in a yellow flash outside of the Hokage's office. He had talked to Itachi on the tablets and informed him that he would be returning, so he wasn't surprised when Itachi guided the four of them down to the council chambers. They walked and talked on their way down and Naruto knew that something had happened during his absence. Finally, Naruto and his girls stood in front of the Konoha Council with Might Guy standing next to him. Itachi stood in front of his seat and pounded his gavel. I call this council meeting to order. The issues to be discussed today are the treaty with Snow, now dubbed Spring Country, and the call for aid from Demon Country. We will start with the Spring Country treaty that Naruto has brought us. Naruto, please provide a summary of the mission and the particulars of the treaty that Spring Country has requested. Naruto bowed. Lord Hokage, my intelligence on Snow Country was spot on. We agreed to travel with and protect the camera crew during the filming. During our voyage across the seas, Sandayu admitted that he wished for us to usurp the tyrant Doto. I knew that we could accomplish the mission, so I accepted the mission and contacted you. After getting the go-ahead for Lord Hokage, I began planning the combat side of the mission. Naruto paused here and nodded to Shikaku. Shikaku stood and addressed Naruto. We have heard Might Guy's report. It seems like you had everything well in hand, but how did you know where and when they would attack? It seemed like you had a terrifying level of foresight and accuracy in your predictions. Naruto smiled. Lord Nara, I have sage mode that can sense nearly 100 miles out. When I focused on Snow Country, I could feel their movements and agitation. For example, during first contact, I sensed them while we were still 10 miles away from the iceberg. Rather than letting them ambush us while we were on open waters, I asked the captain to stop at the iceberg. I had faith in my squad and knew that they were up to the task. Hiashi stood this time and asked his question, and you found it appropriate to make a mockery of shinobi combat. I understand the desire to make a good movie, but you put shinobi at risk by giving them lines and assigned fighting styles. Naruto chuckled. I was hesitant to do so, but I or a clone of myself was there in every battle. I would never let my comrades get harmed. In fact, the only injury we suffered during the whole mission was myself getting hit by the ice dragons of Doto. I only did that because I knew I could take it and I wanted that in the film. To put it in perspective, when you were sparring against Hinata, Neji and Hanabi when they were you, did you fight them seriously? Did you not guide the fight to make points on how they should improve? Hiashi nodded. Yes, I did. So, you knew that our shinobi were that far ahead of the snow shinobi, despite the advantage of the chakra armor. Naruto smiled. Yes, I did. I had the utmost faith in my comrades, and I gave them full warnings of the enemy's combat abilities before we engaged. I believe the results speak for themselves. It also had the added benefit of Claude promising to hire Konoha shinobi for all of his future productions. Hiashi gave up on the argument and sat down. Itachi stood and cast a firm look at Naruto. Naruto, I know you are capable, but I order you not to use my shinobi in such a way again. In the event that the worst happened, it would have been entirely your fault. Naruto bowed deeply to the council. I understand, Lord Hokage. I accept any punishment you deem worthy. I admit that I got too far into my role in the movie. Itachi sat back down and smiled. Well, no harm, no foul. Now, anything to add to Guy's report? Naruto shrugged. I believe he covered up to the fall of Doto. I informed you as I was assisting the people of Spring Country. While we were filming the movie, the Spring Council drafted a request for alliance to Konoha, Azushio and Wave. They also requested that we introduce them to Kumo and Kiri. They also pledged to pay Konoha for the installment of a teleportation tower. Itachi was nodding along, but it was Madame Shijimi that spoke next. Ruto, my husband has received a request for marriage from Spring Country. The daimyo, Kayuki Kazuhana, requested marriage with you. I assume you had that talk with her. Naruto sighed. Yes, I did. She claims that as a daimyo that I will be mandated by the other daimyo to take multiple wives. I told her that it is not possible at this time. My heart belongs to these 3 women, and I am bound by contract to take no other. Shijimi understood that Naruto had a special contract, but she didn't know the specifics. However, she didn't have to ask the question. It was Sume Inuzuka that spoke up. Ruto, we are grateful for all that you have done for us, but you keep mentioning some contract that you are bound by. Could you not elaborate on that for us? Naruto's consciousness was pulled into Kami's realm, and he knelt in front of the goddess of creation with his head down. It no longer startled him when it happened, so he awaited Kami's address. The goddess looked down on her chosen and she could stop the smile that graced her lips. She walked down to him and offered him a hand up. Rise, Naruto, you need not kneel to me. Kami said softly as she helped Naruto into a standing position. Naruto rose and looked expectantly into Kami's eyes. Yes, milady. What can I do for you? Kami giggled and swatted him in a playful manner on his shoulder. Oh, don't be so serious. I have called you here to tell you that you can tell the humans about our contract. Naruto dipped his head. Thank you, Lady Kami. Is there anything else I can do for you? Kami giggled and shifted nervously. Well, Ruto, I wanted to ask you a question. Naruto looked into the magnificent golden eyes of Kami and waited patiently. Would you like to be my eternal partner? Naruto remained frozen in place as the words bounced around his stunned mind. It took a minute to reboot, and he reacted in a comically shocked fashion. He backed away from Kami, tripped and fell on his butt while he was looking with confused eyes at the goddess. Finally, he stuttered out, L Lady Kami, I am. He hung his head and took a breath. I am not worthy of you, Milde. You are a goddess, and I am a broken human. Kami knelt down next to Naruto and raised his chin with her godly hand. She placed a calming K on his forehead and looked longingly into his eyes. No, Naruto, you are so much more than that. You are so much more than I ever hoped you would be. Kami averted her eyes and suddenly became sheepish. I have watched you your whole life. I have seen all of the light and good you bring. If you accomplish the quest one gave you, then you will be eligible for godhood. Naruto was shocked once more, but the calming presence of Kami prevented him from freaking out. He took a deep breath and offered a weak smile. Thank you, milady. You know that my heart and soul belong to my wives, and I have done what I can to honor your wishes. I guess I would like to know why you would want me and how would it be possible. Kami nodded in understanding and raised Naruto to his feet. She snapped her fingers, and they sat down at the summoned table and Naruto poured them each some tea. Well, forgive me for being nervous. This is the first time in all of creation that I have felt this way. While I was watching you, I realized that I was beginning to feel again. I found myself longing for your presence and wishing for your embrace. Yes, Ruto, this is extremely unusual. Since creation, I have never wanted, needed or craved a mate. I made my children by simply thinking about them and I created them to fulfill their purposes in governing my realm. Naruto interrupted here, then why? Why, Lady Kami, do you want me? Kami offered a magnificent smile in return. Because you are pure of heart and strong in soul. Naruto sipped on tea for a bit to process that and calmed his mind. Okay, let's say we agree to do this. How would it work? Kami's smile radiated with joy and happiness. Well, unfortunately, you were absent for Mario's resurrection. The team Itachi sent failed without you there and the demon was resurrected. Shien offered her life to me in exchange for the destruction of Mario. Naruto blanched and paled at that. No, not Shien, she didn't deserve that. Kami's smile tempered and turned sad. Yes, that is true. I have offered her refuge in my realm. What I need you to know is that she is still alive in the mortal realm. Naruto edged his head. How? Kami averted her eyes and looked sheepish. I have placed a piece of myself in her body. I wanted to see if you would be willing to date me. I have rules to follow, and she has already passed to the eternal plane. This was one loophole that I found that would enable our partnership. Naruto hung his head and looked pensive. Without knowing it, he offered a prayer to Kami to safeguard Shien's soul, which made the goddess across the table chuckle. Lady Kami, I don't really know you, why would you go so far for me? Kami remained patient with her chosen since she knew exactly where he was coming from and what he was thinking. Because, despite the odds, I have fallen in love with my chosen. I wish to see if it is possible for us to be together, and the mortal realm will provide a test run. Naruto sighed and resigned himself to his fate. Okay, fine. If you believe in me that much, then who am I to deny you? Can I ask? Kami answered his unasked question. If you ascend to godhood, your wives will be able to stay with you here in my, or maybe our, castle. Naruto felt a weight lifted from his soul and he looked up into the golden eyes of Kami. Put Shion in the VIP suite with her mom and I accept. I kinda feel guilty that I wasn't there for her and that you will be in her body. Kami nodded and snapped her fingers. Done. So, what do you need me to do? Naruto asked. Kami chuckled. Well, in Shion's body I will be mortal. I will not have my godly traits. It is kind of like you and your clones. I am simply placing a piece of myself in her body. You are not to let the others know that I am residing in there. I do not want to usurp their relationships and I don't want them treating me like, well, Kami. Naruto nodded. Okay, well, how do I explain shooting down Kyuki and then accepting a new wife on the next mission? Kami felt a twinge of jealousy as the love-making scene played through her mind once more. Well, Sai, do you love the princess? Naruto shrugged. Not really, I kept those feelings from reaching my heart. I know she has the seeds of love for me, and I could see it working if I allowed it though. Kami rested her chin on her hands in thought. Well, your human rules for daimyos are obnoxious. I reviewed them and they said 5 wives minimum, which is absolutely ridiculous, by the way. Stupid human males. Naruto held his hands up. I can fight against that. I don't need or want 5 wives. I am happy with what I have. Kami edged an eyebrow at him. Does that include me? Naruto chuckled and rubbed the back of his neck sheepishly. Yeah, I guess it does. Kami sighed somewhat shyly. Naruto, I am not coming to the mortal realm for you to treat me like a goddess. I am choosing to come to your realm to be your equal and see if our love is genuine enough to last for eternity. Naruto nodded. I get that. Sorry, it is a lot to take in knowing that of all your creation that I am the one you chose. Give me some time and I will get used to it. Kami crossed the table, sat in Naruto's lap and wrapped her arms around his neck. Unfortunately, Kami was still in her godly form, and this proved to be too much for Naruto. He passed out on the spot, which earned a chuckle from Kami. I still got it. Naruto regained consciousness as Kami kissed his forehead and he apologized. He leaned forward and captured the lips of Kami in a chaste kiss. He didn't pass out this time, but it was an overwhelming feeling to kiss the goddess of creation. I don't know what the future holds, but if you will have me, then I will give my all to make you happy. Kami smiled beneficently at Naruto. I know, Ruto, I know you will. Now, return to that council and tell them about our contract. I request that you decline this offer of marriage from Kyuki. If you find true love with her later in life, then we will discuss it with the girls. Also, accept the mission to Demon Country and come pick me up. With that, Kami placed a tender kiss on his lips and returned him to the council chambers. Naruto felt the whirring feeling sensation and opened his eyes back in the council chambers. He shook his head slightly and looked around the room at the faces of people he trusted. He firmed his resolve and spoke. Well, Council of Konoha, I am in a contract with Kami, goddess of creation. He held up his hand and stopped the uproar. I am not joking, and I can prove it. I ask the members of this council to close your eyes and open your minds to me. It took a minute for the council to relent, and Naruto's golden sage mode was felt by every member of the council. He flashed memories of the end but kept those ones brief. He shared some of his interaction in the afterlife and the start of his contract with Kami. He showed what he came back to, and he shared some key events of his new life. The council was left in a stunned silence when their minds processed the information and the link ended. Naruto cleared his throat and a couple heads idly turned toward him. Now you know, at least some of it. I was allowed to share these memories with you because I have changed this timeline so much that future knowledge is no longer relevant. Needless to say, you are not permitted to share this information and the price for breaching this celestial contract would be severe. A prolonged silence followed his words and Naruto's girls stepped into supportive positions behind him. They each knew something happened and it likely had to do with Kami because they each saw the brief disorientation he went through. Plus, Naruto had told him that he wouldn't be able to tell others the truth unless Kami said otherwise. Finally, Itachi regained his composure and shook his head in disbelief. Itachi coughed lightly and snapped the council out of its trance. Okay, well that certainly explains a lot and give us much to think about. Why did you share this with us now? Naruto shrugged. Kami pulled my mind to her realm and told me to. He kept his answer brief. She also mentioned that I should accept the mission to Demon Country, so do you want to cover that now? Shikaku stood up and slammed his hands on the desk. You troublesome blonde. Don't think we will let you off that easy. What gave you the right to deceive the council and change things the way you saw fit? Shikaku was still clearly upset about the years wasted chasing the neighborhood watch. Naruto deadpanned at Shikaku while his girls giggled behind him. Did you miss the part about me being Kami's chosen? It all makes so much sense now, Hiashi muttered. Unbelievable, Chooser followed up. My daughter just couldn't choose a simple man, Inoki lamented. Mikoto was crying since she saw that her son was the one to bring about the end of the world the last time around. She was also shocked by the fate of the Uchiha. Why? Naruto edged his head at her. Why did you save my clan and my son this time around if he did that to you? Why did you return to Konoha at all after we betrayed you? Why? Naruto offered a sad smile and a slow nod in understanding. Because, despite it all, Konoha is my home. My parents gave their lives to protect this home. I thought that I should at least try to do the same. Naruto sighed after that. As for your clan, I wanted to try and avert disaster. I thought that if I saved Sasuke from that pain and hatred, then he wouldn't fall. Plus, it was just the right thing to do. Hiashi was struggling with this information, and he asked Naruto, so, last time around, my clan didn't suffer this tragedy. Naruto prostrated himself to Hiashi. It is one of my greatest regrets, Lord Hyuga. I tried to help your clan too early, and it had unforeseen consequences. I thought that if I saved Hinata and Hisashi, then Neji would have had a better life. He sacrificed himself to save my life and I owed at least that much to him. Then, I wanted to remove the caged bird seal and the way I went about it led to your clan's massacre. I never foresaw what happened and for that I sincerely apologize. Hiashi should have known better than to be surprised by Naruto's display, but he was still taken aback. Rise, Naruto, you need not apologize to me. You have done much for my clan and your apology is wasted. Shikaku rose from his seat next to Itachi. Naruto, if you have the knowledge from another life, then you know and have known who the Akatsuki were this whole time. Why have you not shared that information? Naruto shook his head. I have shared what I know. I have shared what I can prove, and I have taken actions against them. I know this sounds unreasonable, but the restart of the timeline is Kami's experiment, of sorts. It had never been done before and she made me keep this information close to the chest. Everything I have shared, I have collected intelligence and proven to be the same. That being said, there were many things that were different, so why would I act like I still know everything? In fact, aside from the beginning, pretty much everything is different. Finally, I will remind you that I was contracted to Kami. Shikaku shook his head in frustration. No, that is a troublesome excuse. Naruto flared his aura. No, that is the reason. If 5-year-old me told you all that I knew events from the future, then what? I become your inside source of information and you use that for the benefit of Konoha. Either that or you think the Kyuubi scrambled my brain and was manipulating me. You did nothing in my past life to hold my trust, you did everything in this life to break it and I took the actions I saw fit. So, save me your frustrated chastising. I shared this with you so that you would understand what needs to happen, not rehash the past. Naruto's voice had raised but remained below a shout. It was clear to everyone that this was intensely personal to Naruto. Shijimi stood up. Let's move on. The truth of the matter is that Naruto informed my husband of the relevant facts. He has worked with Kinji to make changes and it is undeniable that he has made this world a better place. So, I say again, let's move on. Itachi nodded. Very well, I agree. This issue is tabled. Now, the mission to Demon Country. The teams we sent there had fatalities and were critically injured. I wish for you to travel there and use the Hiraishin to transport medics and doctors to aid the injured. The princess also needs evaluation after she used a kinjutsu to eliminate the demon Mario rather than seal him. Her attendants claim that she has been quite different since the event. Of course she is different, she is a completely different person, Naruto thought before he bowed at the waist. I will set out first thing tomorrow morning. Very well, how quickly can you make that trip? Itachi asked. Am I traveling alone? Naruto returned the question. Itachi nodded. I figured that would be fastest. Are you concerned about that? Naruto shook his head in the negative. No, I will create a Hiraishin beacon and leave it there once I am done. I can make it there by tomorrow evening. Chooser chuckled loudly. A 3-day trip in less than a day. Why am I still surprised? Naruto shrugged. Dunno, but if you don't think I can do it then I would be happy to bet on it. Chooser shook his hands in front of him. No, that is quite alright, Naruto. I don't feel like Chura scolding me for needlessly throwing away money. This earned chuckles from the council, and it served to break the tension. Itachi stood up and pounded his gavel. This council meeting is now closed. I will remind everyone that the information concerning Naruto's contract is to be shared with nobody outside this council. Dismissed. Meeting a goddess in Demon Country. Tsunade walked home with the 4 lovers, and everyone settled down for a family dinner. Naruto shared what he could from his meeting with Kami, and the news stirred up the Senju Uzumaki household quite a bit. Once Naruto had finished, it was Tsunade that spoke up first. Brat, you are telling me that Kami pulled you up to her realm in the middle of a council meeting, told you to accept this mission and she wants you to wed the priestess of Demon Country. Tsunade shouted incredulously. Naruto nodded. Mama, it shocked me too, but I knew I had to share it with my family as soon as possible. Why? Temari asked while scanning Naruto with an analytical gaze. Naruto sighed. I don't know, Mari. If I knew, then I would tell you. You know that the daimyos are going to pressure me into their version of the CRA. I could avoid Konoha's imposition because of Kinji's influence. However, the laws of the daimyo are different and Kinji talked to me about it. Minimum for somebody in my circumstance is 5 and Kami asked me to decline Kyuki and accept an engagement period with Shion. Kami, brat, things are just weird with you. Tsunade sighed. Kurama laughed heartily. Well, Haim, aren't you glad I am a one-woman man? While Tsunade shook her head, Ino stepped in. I love my sisters. If Kami-chan actually told Naruto to take one more, then I think we should at least give her a chance. After all, it was Kami that was sore against Ruto taking another that he had to go through, that. The whole family winced at the memories and Tsunade hung her head in guilt. Samui took the mic next. Well, who are we to question Kami? Why don't we see if she is cool and then take it from there? Temari pouted. I once thought Ruto would be mine, and now he is ours. Gah. Oh well, let's see the new girl. She threw her hands up before she slammed her head on the table in resignation. Naruto rubbed her back in understanding. I am sorry, Mari. I doesn't change a single thing about how much I love you. Kurama met Naruto's gaze and asked another question. So, Mario is dead, and you didn't have to do anything this time around. Why didn't they call for you? Naruto shrugged. I don't know. I wish they would have. My guess is they thought that Tenzo and his team would have been enough. Kurama scoffed and Chome buzzed agitatedly. That imitation Mokuton cannot handle a released demon, much less a Biju. Sure, he can handle a couple tails from a Jinchuriki, but in terms of actual demons he wouldn't stand a chance. Tsunade sighed. Yeah, if I would have known then I would have talked them out of it. Oh well, so, you will call me there tomorrow. Naruto nodded. I will move at full speed. Shouldn't take too long, but it is still a long way. Temari scoffed. 250 miles, a long way, in a single day. She shook her head in mock disbelief. Naruto chuckled. Well, when you integrate better with Kokuo, you will be able to do it too. Whatever, you are being called to your husbandly duties. If this is the last night with just the 4 of us, then we should make the most of it. Ino said in a seductive tone. Samui flared to life at that. Oh, yes. It is your duty. Now, come, stud muffin. After Naruto and his clones gave it to his wives as good as he got it, they fell into a restful sleep. He rose in the morning and brought breakfast in bed to his exhausted wives, and they ate together before Naruto took off for Demon Country. Naruto brought Chome along with him for this trip and experimented with using her yokai. He synced with her for the first time, and it was an exhilarating experience for the Queen of Insects. This is amazing, Ruto. Chome squealed in excitement from within the seal. It feels like I am the one running. Now, try channeling chakra between your shoulder blades and imagine 4 wings. Naruto was focused on his long-range leaps, and he decided to entertain Chome. He was already able to pull on 5 of her tails without stress, and he focused on directing her excitable chakra between his shoulder blades. After a minute of focusing, the wings sprouted on his back in mid-leap, and he lost his balance. A shaky and unsteady flight ensued before Naruto stabilized with the aid of wind chakra. Then, he created a draft behind him and flapped the wings. This is amazing. Naruto screamed out loud while he soared through the sky. Chome relished the feeling of flying once more, and she agreed wholeheartedly with Naruto. Yes, it feels great. Thank you for trusting me and integrating with me. I know you don't need me, but it feels warm and welcome within you. Naruto blushed at that, or maybe it was the wind blasting his cheeks. Ah, shucks, Chome. You are always welcome with me. At that point, Naruto's tenketsu on his back burnt out and he began to fall from nearly half a kilometer in the air. He panicked for a minute before he remembered that he was a master with his wind affinity, and he slowed his descent with some wind. Damn, Cho, next time tell me not to fly so high until we are more used to doing that. Chome clicked her pincers and chuckled in glee, but that is part of the learning process, Ruto. He. Plus, I knew you would be okay. Naruto shot a red eyebrow at the biju within the seal. You mischievous little. The trip to Demon Country included ample amounts of Chome's yokai mixed with senjutsu chakra. The Sage mode increased his speed and recovery to astonishing levels, and he was able to make the trip in just over 10 hours. Naruto was sure it was some sort of world record, but he was just glad it was over. Even he had limits to his endurance, at least when he wasn't in a life or death situation. Naruto slowed down to a walk when he approached the shrine priestess's compound, and he wasn't surprised when he was made to halt and surrounded by guards and confronted by one of the Konoha Anbu. It was the Bear Mask, and Naruto nodded to him in greeting, which caused Bear to take charge. Stand down, this is Lord Senju. Bear barked, which caused the guards to raise and shoulder their spears. Welcome, Naruto. You sure made it here quickly. Naruto wiped some perspiration from his brow. Yeah, I booked it the whole way. Status update. Bear stiffened slightly before speaking. Squad Tango lost 3 of 4. Cat is hurt and has some sort of shadow poisoning. Tenzo is in rough condition, and we are trying to save his arm. Eagle and I are fine, but we need reinforcements. Naruto nodded. Got it, let me get inside and meditate to calm my chakra. I will flash back to Konoha and get the medical team. After I bring the medical team in, I will talk to the priestess. With that, Bear led Naruto into the compound and the guards resumed their posts. It was clear to Naruto that this place was attacked and that Tenzo had used some woodjutsu to plug up some defenses, but it would do little to hold off a proper shinobi team. He walked into the main building and was taken to the wounded Konoha Anbu. He sat down in a meditative position and focused on de-stressing his coils so that he could flash to Konoha and back. After 30 minutes, Tsunade, Hinata, Ino and another medic were flashed into the priestess compound. While the medics attended to the wounded, Naruto made his way to see Shien, or Kami. Well, she told him to call her Shien in this mortal form, so it is Shien then. Naruto shook the confusion out of his head, and he was let in to see Shien. He felt a twinge of excitement and anticipation crawl up his spine as he walked toward an ethereal blonde beauty that was sitting on her throne-like seat. As he walked and got closer, he noticed that instead of the violet eyes Shien had last time around, her irises were now golden. He also noticed that her bust was easily in the low to mid-D range, which was definitely an upgrade from what he remembered. Her face glowed with an ethereal beauty that should be foreign to humanity, and her smile made all of Naruto's worries melt away. Finally, he stopped 20 feet in front of the goddess in human form, where he knelt down on one knee and bowed his head. Lady Shien, I am relieved to see you in good health. I have brought aid from Konoha, and they are tending to my shinobi as we speak. Naruto kept his head dipped and spoke in a reverent tone. Leave us, Shien said in a firm and commanding tone, which earned protests from Taruho, Shien's attendant. Lady Shion, we cannot leave you alone with a stranger you just met. Shion scoffed and waved him off with her dainty hands. Relax, I have seen this man in my visions and trust him implicitly. Now, leave me. Naruto rose and watched the attendants scurry out of the chamber before Shion placed a hand on her throne and a privacy barrier was erected around the room. Naruto aired an eyebrow at her and sent her a teasing smirk. So, that was out of character. He held back a laugh as he addressed Kami, or at least this portion of Kami. Shion rose from her throne and strode down to Naruto in a slow and sensual manner. She stopped in front of him and looped her arms over his neck before stopping inches away from his lips. Tell me, Ruto, does this human form appeal to you? Naruto gulped, licked his lips and nodded slowly. Yes, milady. Does my presence feel strange or wrong to you? Shion proceeded. Naruto shook his head minimally. No, milady. Then why aren't you me? She finished in a sultry tone. This prompted Naruto to lean forward a couple inches and he placed a tender K on her lips before he pulled back. The two locked eyes once more and then their lips crashed together, and tongues flashed in a sensual dance. This continued for a long, yet seemingly appropriate, amount of time and it was as if Naruto knew this woman implicitly. He felt at home with her in his arms and her taste excited and inspired him. Shion broke the K and her eyes twinkled in pleasure and excitement. It is good to see you in the mortal realm, my chosen. Do you choose me as well? Naruto nodded dumbly, as if in a trance before he snapped out of it and offered a sincere smile. Why don't we take our time getting to know one another? It feels right, but I don't want to rush it. I want to take you out, play 20 questions, get to know you, laugh, cry and love with you. Let's enjoy this life we have together and then you can tell me if you want to spend eternity with me by your side. Shion slapped him playfully on his chest. Geez, Ruto, such a romantic. It feels good hearing you say that to me. I think that sounds like a good plan. So, how do we play this? Naruto chuckled. Well, I told my girls that Kami told me to bring you home. So, I guess we just need to convince your people that is what you want. I mean, between the Hiraishin and communication scrolls, there is no real reason for you to stay here anyway. Oh, yay, I will tell them it was love at first sight. That will be fun. Shion schemed excitedly while still in Naruto's embrace. Naruto laughed and shook his head. Whatever makes you happy, milady. Shion shot a pouty look at Naruto. What? So, you will act with the Snow Princess, but not with me. Naruto shrugged and sighed. I'm sorry, milady. I don't know what you have in mind, but I am willing to go along with it. To be honest, the first thing you should do is meet Mama, Hinata and Ino. I brought them here to help heal the injured. Shion squealed excitedly and linked arms with Naruto. Okay, well, lead the way. Naruto shook his head. No wonder they asked us to evaluate you. You act completely different than the Shion I remember. Shion swatted his shoulder playfully. Oh, please, I am the goddess of creation. Broody, depressed and isolated doesn't fit my style. Up in Kami's realm, Minato had to duck a paperweight thrown by Kami's godly form when he coughed abruptly at hearing that. This earned a fit of giggles from Kushina and the three got back to work while paying attention to the screen. Naruto chuckled. Yeah, I guess not. I like your positive attitude and energy though. Naruto continued to chat with Shion as they walked into the room that held the injured Konoha ninja. Tsunade and Hinata were in the middle of extracting the shadow poison from Kat and it seemed like it was an intense procedure. Tenzo's arm was already healed up and Ino was finalizing the bandages on that when she looked up to see Naruto walk into the room with Shion on his arm. She hid her head and squinted her eyes in confusion. Ruto, already acting chummy with the princess? Ino asked. Naruto shrugged. Well, I guess you could say we have known each other for a while. She remembered. This statement caused three of the most important women in his life to pause abruptly and look between Shion and Naruto. Brat, we will talk about that later. Shion, it is nice to meet you sweetie. We are almost ready to transport, Ruto. Tsunade said while wiping some sweat from her brow. Gotcha, mama. I just wanted to introduce Yal before I got her packed up. Naruto answered back. Taruho barged into the conversation here. What do you mean packed up? Shion scoffed. Relax, Taruho, I am going to Konoha with Naruto. Now that Mario is vanquished, I will be exploring the world with Naruto. If there is anything you need, you can contact me via communication scroll. Lady Shion, you can't leave us, Taruho said despondently. Shion edged an eyebrow. As the chief priestess, my duty here was ensuring the integrity of Mario's seal and to reseal him when the time came. I have accomplished my task and I wish to enjoy life now. When I spoke with Lady Kami, she told me to go with the one she sent to me. So, I am going. Shion ended forcefully. Taruho hung his head and Tsunade shook hers. Leave it to her brat to get wrapped up in something like this. Tsunade locked eyes with Naruto. And you're okay with this? Naruto nodded with a smile on his face. Yeah, it feels right. I told her that she would have to get to know my wives before I committed to anything. Tsunade snapped back to her work before responding. Okay, then go get her packed up. We will be ready to go within the hour. Naruto went with the human form of Kami and went through her room. He watched in amusement as Shion threw out most of her wardrobe and said there was no need to bring priestess robes. She made silly comments about how humans always put too much emphasis on their robes and gowns when worshipping the gods and practicing holiness. It took 45 minutes for Naruto's clone squad to pack up the room and he was pleased to see that Shion didn't bring too many things with her. They returned to the impromptu medical bay and found that the wounded were already in stasis scrolls, the dead bodies were in body scrolls and the medics were ready to return. Naruto flashed into GSM and transported the group to the Hokage's office. When they entered the office, Itachi simply shook his head. I give you a mission that should have taken a week and you are back within the same day. Report. Itachi ordered. Tenzo stepped up. Lord Hokage, we arrived after Lady Shion's compound was assaulted by 4 shinobi that had skills with shadows that we have never encountered before. They were able to rebuff the assault, but Shion felt Mario being released from his seal. We set out for the sealing shrine and found that there were 500 stone statues that were animated by Mario. The demon itself was also recently freed when we arrived at the temple. Squads Ro and Tango engaged the stone army and the demon. I attempted to immobilize the demon and allow the priestess to go through her sealing ritual. The demon broke through my Mokuton and that was when we took our losses. I used one more Mokuton jutsu and Lady Shion was able to vanquish Mario. We took heavy casualties and remained at Shion's compound until Naruto arrived. Itachi was frowning as he nodded along. Very well. Lady Shion, is the demon Mario truly vanquished or should we expect it to return? Shion stepped forward. Lord Hokage, the demon is truly vanquished. There is no chance it will return. I offered my soul to Kami in exchange for vanquishing the demon. It was at that time that Lady Kami told me to return to Naruto. It was extremely awkward for the goddess of creation to refer to herself in the third person, but she pushed through with a smile on her face. Itachi's gaze turned to Naruto, and you are okay with this? Naruto shrugged, it is the will of Kami, and I am Kami's chosen. I trust her and there are worse things than becoming friends with a beautiful young woman such as Shion. Ino scoffed, friends, huh? Shion had the decency to blush, and Naruto adopted his sheepish pose. Ino, I told Shion that she would have to get to know you girls first. She accepted those terms, so I guess I just ask you to give her a chance. Hinata giggled before the sleeve of her jacket. Oh, Ruto, you just can't stop yourself. Naruto edged his head, what you mean, Hinaheim? Hinata's giggle turned into a full-blown laugh at the looks on Ino and Tsunade's faces. Well, my friend, every time you go on a mission, it seems like there is a girl that falls in love with you. Naruto held up his hands in a gesture of innocence. Well, I can claim innocence on this one. If you want to blame anyone, blame Kami. Shion giggled at that. Naruto is right. This was solely due to Kami. All I ask is the opportunity to get to know Naruto and you three. Ino relented at the pure and innocent look on Shion's face and Tsunade settled with crossing her arms under her bust. Okay, Shion, I can do that. I am sure Temari and Samui will agree to a trial run as well. Itachi coughed and returned the attention to himself. Tsunade, what of the injured? They are sealed in medical stasis scrolls. I didn't want to strain their bodies with the Hiraishin. I will get them set up in the hospital once leave here. Nothing I can do for the dead, but the injured will survive. Tsunade said professionally. Very well, Naruto, please report here at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. Tsunade, if you are free, please accompany him. Itachi said before dismissing them. That night, Shion got the chance to meet Temari, Samui and the Senju family, which led to drinks in the Senju gardens. It was pretty much a Senju family tradition at this point, and everyone was excited to grill the newcomer in the Senju household. It was Rias, who had Anko and Yugito in each arm, that opened the questioning. Okay, priestess, why did you so readily agree to this crazy plan of Kami? Her tone was challenging and teasing at the same time. Shion blushed and cuddled into her first Naruto clone. Well, let's just say that when I made the deal with Kami, she gave me the memories of his past life. We had a much more intimate experience last time and the war stopped us from ever getting together. When she asked me to care for her chosen, I saw no reason to refuse. Yami stepped up next before Tayuya could enter the conversation. Okay, that's all well and good, but what made you think that Naruto would just go along with it? Shion deadpanned at Yami, I am a priestess gifted with visions of the future. Plus, Naruto is Lady Kami's chosen, so I trusted in my god. Tayuya slammed a saucer and said, well, ain't that a ring fairy tale? You are Kami's faithful little girl, and she rewards you by dropping shithead in your lap. What do you 3s think about this? She looked around at Ino, Samui and Temari before she paled as a Naruto wood clone formed with a water whip in hand. Stand to for punishment, Tayuya. The clone growled and cracked its whip menacingly. Yami took his arm from her shoulder, knowing full well that he couldn't prevent what was going to happen. As the clone chased her, the group chuckled and played a drinking game. They each chose one of Tayuya's favorite curse words. Each time she used that particular curse, the person could assign a drink. This proved to be a way for the Senju family to get rapidly intoxicated because the foul-mouthed redhead never learned to zip her lips. Ingwai bastard. Tayuya echoed across the Senju compound and pretty much everyone ended up drinking. Ow. You carpet-munching, ass-grabbing, ow, bastardized wooden monstrosity of shithead. Ow, ow, ow. The Senju family looked around before they all shrugged and simply started taking pulls from their bottles. 10 minutes later, Tayuya limped back into the gazebo, and she huffed as she blew one of her bangs out of her face. I hate you, shithead. Naruto shrugged, if you ever learned your lesson. Then maybe we wouldn't get so drunk, hick. Samui finished the statement. Ino giggled with a blush on her cheeks. Back to Shion, are you okay sharing Ruto? We share in all things and there are no headwives or any of that BS. Shion nodded with a silly smile on her face. Yes, I can't say that I have any experience, but the thought of gaining 3 sisters sounds amazing. Hikari laughed innocently before cuddling into a passed-out Shikamaru. The guy couldn't hold his liquor. And, are you okay with, K-girls? Shion blushed brilliantly and the thought of Kami blushing like that made Naruto break into a full-blown laugh. Shion swatted him playfully on the chest before answering the question, I think so. I will have to let you know after I try. I would like to get to know the first before I do anything like that though. She added as Ino was rising to come and claim Shion's first LK. Ino sighed and sat back down on her clone's lap. Tsunade decided to get her questions in. Do you have any reservations about this? It is one thing to serve Kami. It is another thing completely to give yourself to a man because Kami told you to. Shion beamed a brilliant smile at Tsunade. No, Mama, I am content with this. I am grateful to Kami for placing such a wonderful man in my life. I am also grateful that he comes with a big family. I always wanted a big family, but my father died when I was young, and my mother passed not long after that. Yugito raised a saucer to Shion. Welcome to the madness, girly. To the madness. Everyone cheered and downed their sauces. Naruto and Tsunade reported to Itachi's office the next morning as requested and Itachi was amused to see that they were both hungover. Kurama was so hungover that he retreated into the seal when the sun stung his eyes. Chome was immune to most toxins, so she was just fine, but she wanted to be in on this conversation, so she was in the seal as well. Itachi looked up as they entered the office, and he pushed aside the papers he was working on. Thank you for coming. Please take a look at this. Itachi said as he handed a scroll to Tsunade. Naruto looked over her shoulder and read it with her. Tsunade scoffed, Itachi, you can't honestly be thinking about going to this. It's clearly a trap. Naruto agreed. Itachi sighed, yes, that is the common sentiment. The other cage also got the invitation, and they said the same thing. Naruto ed an eyebrow. So, why are you still thinking about going? Because they don't know how truly strong you are. This could be a chance for a decisive battle, but it all comes down to what you can do. Itachi answered while analyzing Naruto. Naruto closed his eyes and thought about it. He roused Kurama and Chome to see what they thought about it. After a minute, he opened his eyes and looked firmly at Itachi. Well, the way I see it, Iwa is trying to drag us into the open. They requested that I be there, so it is clearly a trap, and they most likely believe that they have something ready for me. Itachi nodded. I was thinking the same thing. Naruto put a hand to his chin in thought while Tsunade responded, Itachi, I want them dealt with, but this would be willingly taking a fight on their terms. What if it wasn't on their terms? I know that they could turn this into a trap in any number of ways, but what if we weren't as isolated as they thought? Naruto said, still thinking about this. Explain. Itachi said, summoning seals. We get the elite from every ally and have them on standby. If things go pear-shaped, which is likely, then we summon in reinforcements. Naruto answered, still in a calculative tone. Ruto, they have Iwa, Pain, Konan, the fake Madara, Kakazu, Kisame, Zetsu and all of the white Zetsus. That is an overwhelming force. Tsunade warned. Naruto nodded. We took that white Zetsu body at the beginning of our training trip. We developed a countermeasure for his mimicking jutsu, and we will be able to identify him. Each Zetsu is only a low to mid Chunin skill level at best. The only thing they had over us last time around was the confusion they sowed in the ranks. Itachi had been included on the intelligence concerning the white Zetsu clones and it worried him greatly. What is the counter we have? Naruto answered, I can cast a wide-scale jutsu that pollinates the air and they will react to it, which will disrupt any transformation they attempt. If that's not enough, any of my clones can identify them. Any decent Earth jutsu user can prevent them from traveling underground. What about the S ranks? Tsunade asked. Pain and Konan will come for me. That is the most likely. The Uchiha can't stand up to me at this point. Kisame is a non-issue, Kakazu is a threat, but I know how to deal with him. Zetsu is a scout and will just sow chaos. Naruto answered while still clearly thinking things through. That still leaves 15,000 shinobi of and Iwa. Shinobi are religious zealots and Iwa is motivated by blind revenge. Itachi cautioned. Iron Country is also closest to Iwa. They would be able to move their forces first. Tsunade added. Naruto sighed, look, it is clearly stacked against us. I have no doubts that I could stall and erect a barrier, but they can siege, flee or do any number of things. What is the worst case scenario, Naruto? Itachi asked bluntly. They have all of the Akatsuki there, they trap the tower, find a way to disable Mihiration, summon the Gedo Mazo, which would mean fighting against the 3 and 6 tails. Plus, they have Roshi. So, let's say the worst case scenario is 3 Biju, 4 S ranks, 2 SS ranks, 15,000 shinobi and 5 to 10,000 white Zetsu. Naruto answered in monotone. We only have a week. If we don't accept, then they claim they will declare war. War would mean the involvement of innocents. Itachi added. And Kinji would like to avoid that for obvious reasons. Naruto nodded. I understand that. Message the cage and tell them to come here. We should talk this out with them. I will start thinking up strategies that could let us turn the tables. Okay, get with the Naris then. I will request a meeting for tomorrow morning. Itachi closed the meeting with that and set to the task of gathering his allies. After a long night poring over maps, plans, scenarios and many other things with Shikaku and Shikamaru, Naruto returned to his bed at 2 a.m. He snuggled into his girls and closed his eyes. The next day, he gave a basic breakdown to the Senju family, which included the Wave branch. Everyone was concerned, but Naruto said he would be back after the meeting with the cage. Naruto and Tsunade walked into the council chambers which had been rearranged with a circular table. Each cage was allowed 3 advisors, bodyguards. This led to a full room with Raza, Gaara, Kankuro and Baki from Suna. Mei brought Ao, Chojuro and Zabuza with her from Kiri. I brought B, Yugito and Darui with him from Kumo. Yosuke brought Kaisa from Wave, which was allowed because Wave was a trade partner with Kumo and Kiri. From Konoha, there was Itachi, Shikaku, Tsunade and Naruto. Once everyone took their seats, Itachi began. Thank you for coming on such short notice. We have been working together for a short time and I know that the alliance is still young. I called you here today because this is a clear invitation from the Akatsuki for a decisive battle. I wanted to hear your thoughts and pitch some ideas at this meeting. Itachi began formally. I, ever the impulsive one when battle was involved, stood next. Kumo stands ready to take the fight to the Akatsuki. Mei stood next. My nation is still recovering from our prolonged civil war. I am hesitant to engage in such a war, especially when my biju have already been taken. Raza stood up. Lady Mizukage, I understand why you are hesitant, but this isn't the kind of threat the world can ignore. Before anyone else could speak, Naruto stood and looked calmly around the room. After a couple moments, he spoke. I have worked with each of you, and I have grown to cherish the bonds I have with you. I have not shared what I am about to share with many people, but I believe it necessary at this point so that you may understand the gravity of the situation. Naruto took a deep breath and soon had placed a calming hand on his shoulder. This is not my first life. This war with the Akatsuki led to the end of all life in the world last time around. Naruto held up his hands to stifle the incredulous protests. I am going to enter sage mode. I ask that anything I share with you is kept in this room. I do not need the whole world knowing this information. A stunned silence followed Naruto's words, but it was Raza's chuckles that broke everyone from the disbelief. He was shaking his head and his chuckling was breaking into full fits of laughter. Everyone waited for him to let them in on the joke. Raza recomposed himself and stood up. I apologize, fellow Kage. It all makes so much sense now. For those that don't know, Naruto came to Suna when he was still 5 years old. He altered Gaara's seal and began helping my people through creative use of seals. It was always difficult for me to swallow that a child could make such an impact on my nation. That was why I was laughing. I grunted, so, that is how you knew so much. Naruto nodded. Mei turned her head, could you please explain more? Naruto nodded slowly, please close your eyes and open your minds to me. I am going to enter my sage mode to share some relevant information. He waited until he felt the tensions in the room ease, and he embraced the silence that fell over the room. Naruto clapped his hands together and closed his eyes. He flashed into GSM and shared visions of the Fourth Great Shinobi War. He shared visions of his fight with Madara and Obito and the Shinju tree. He shared the resurrection of Kaguya and the intense fight that followed. He shared visions of the Juubi and the destruction it wrought. Then, he ended with his last memory of him tied on a cross and the Juubi laying waste to the world. Jaws were dropped, eyes were popping, and a gobsmacked silence hung in the room. I shared these specific memories because I don't want to get into what I should and shouldn't have changed. I wanted you to know what we are up against. I wanted you to know what was at stake. Naruto began. Itachi, who was more familiar with Naruto's past, spoke up. Fellow Kage, if we leave such an enemy to stew in the shadows, then we will surely come to regret it. My strategist worked with Naruto to come up with a plan for this summit, if Akatsuki, Iwa and Am should make their move. I snapped out of it and looked between Naruto and Itachi. I trust your power, brat. I don't know about stepping into such a trap though. Naruto nodded, I can understand that. To be honest, I have my reservations as well. Then why do we let them choose the battleground? Mei asked what was on many minds. To minimize collateral damage. Naruto answered. Raza frowned but nodded, yes, if we do not take this shot, then it is likely that our civilian populations will be affected. That would have many downstream effects. I punched a hand into his palm, let's hear what you have come up with and we will make our decision from there. Shikaku Nara rose and bowed to the Kage. We only had one night to plan, so there are probably some kinks we could iron out in this plan. To start, we would all teleport to Kumogakure and we would move down to the summit together. That would, or at least should, prevent any ambushes en route to the summit. Won't that put Iwa even more on edge? Mei pointed out in question form. They are already our enemies. We have confirmed that Akatsuki is directing Iwa. What you don't know is that it was a member of the Akatsuki that broke into our political prison and rescued the Tsuchikage's daughter. That is why we have disabled all spatial jutsus in our village with our barrier core. Itachi chimed in. I growled, well, I think we are beyond the point of settling this with talks. Part of me doesn't blame them after what Naruto did to their Jinchuriki and cage, but still. If the Akatsuki is inviting us to a fight, I will take it. That being said, what is the next part of your plan? Naruto stepped up, since he was the Fuinjutsu master. Next, we have our elite squads on standby for reverse summoning. I modeled it after the summoning contracts of the animal clans, and we can instantly bring our forces in to join us. It is likely that the Rinnegan wielder will be there, and it will be my job to deal with him. I would say that I am enough to deal with Conan and Pain, but it will be a fight for sure. Raza sighed, Ruto, why put yourself in such a fight? You are their main objective, along with the other Jinchuriki, why not leave that fight to the cage? Because I know the Rinnegan's abilities, and I bested him once before when I was far weaker than I am now. We contemplated that, but then we would be missing some of our strongest shinobi when countering the vast number of enemies we expect. Naruto answered. I snarled, okay, then where did you plan for the cage to fight? Naruto nodded at that. I want you to take on Kisame Hoshigaki. You are king in single combat, and I have disabled his sword Samehada. Your lightning will counter his water jutsu and he shouldn't be able to keep up with your speed. Raza, Gaara, Killer Bee, Mei and Yugito will be on crowd control. You will hold the enemy back until our reinforcements arrive. Mei asked another tentative question, Naruto, why would we just bring in a portion of our forces? Even if we have them vastly outclassed in quality, those numbers would make it nearly impossible to deal with our enemy. Shikaku addressed that question, that is why we will mobilize our forces and quietly move them to our borders near Iron Country. We have our elites hold out until our main forces can pincer them. Itachi pitched in here, the most difficult part of this task would be mobilizing without the Akatsuki catching wind. I recommend sending more squads than usual out on border patrol and issuing quiet order to the squad captains. They have an effective information network, and we don't want them to know until it is too late. This whole plan is based on them thinking that they have the upper hand. Raza groaned, which earned attention from the council. If we do this, won't that eliminate our relationships with Mifune? We all get most of our chakra metal from Iron Country. Naruto fielded this one. I think that Mifune is probably under Akatsuki's control. I will be able to sense that when I am near him, and I should be able to break that control. That being said, I don't know what other traps they would have prepared. For that reason, I recommend we all send shadow clones into the meeting until the building itself is clear. I grunted, Naruto, that is a Konoha jutsu. We don't know it. Naruto pulled several copies of the jutsu scroll out of his pocket. I presume elite shinobi will be able to master this jutsu within a week. Naruto put extra emphasis on the ed eyebrow he shot at I chuckled and snatched the scroll up. Very well. Naruto handed out the scrolls and continued his plan. Alright, so, we set up in the hotel for the first night. We set up privacy barriers on our hotel rooms and I will equip them with chakra screens. We send our clones into the meeting and if they notice anything off, then they can dispel and inform us. How would we know about the trap if they dispel? Mei asked. Naruto chuckled, because this jutsu is the key to my strength. There is a memory transfer component to the jutsu, and any non-physical memory will be transferred to the original when dispelled. Before you go overboard, I recommend reading the cautions and potential side effects before you perform the jutsu. Everyone took a moment to think about the potential of such jutsu before they snapped back into professional mode. Kaisa stood up. What part would you have wave play in this? Tsunade intervened. We do not need your forces. We will need you to prepare your ports and if war breaks out, then we will need a transport hub. Kaisa nodded. It will be done. The people of Wave stand behind the alliance. I let out a pleased sigh. That will help in troop movements. Lord Nara, if we fail to eliminate the Akatsuki in this battle, what is your projected outcome? Shikaku sighed and mumbled troublesome under his breath. He then looked up and addressed the council. I don't think the Akatsuki will go all in here. I think they will absolutely try to hit and cripple us. That being said, if they fail and are able to retreat, then they would get desperate. We couldn't begin to plan out worst-case scenarios, but we did come to one conclusion. Shikaku paused here and looked at Naruto, who gave him a nod. If we fail to eliminate the Zetsu, then they could easily begin targeting smaller villages and civilian populations. With their transformation abilities, that could go wrong in any number of ways. This earned rumblings around the table for the first time during the meeting, but it was May that took charge for the first time rather than questioning things. That won't be a problem. If the worst case happens, we inform the daimyo immediately and they can pull the civilians into the capitals. Naruto could set up protective barriers and screening seals around the capitals. That would be a short-term solution. Raza nodded. That will be easy in my country. Suna is already protected by those seals and your hidden villages already have the basic versions. Honestly, if it comes to that, then we unite the whole world, even the civilian populations, against the Akatsuki. I barked out a laugh. Yeah, well, if you asked me if 4 of the Great 5 would ever work together in my lifetime, then I would have laughed you out of my tower. They have united us against a common enemy and evidently behind the man that was chosen by Kami. So, bring it on. I rose to his feet and smashed his fists together. That night, at the Senju compound, Naruto let everyone know what the plan was. Of course, his girls insisted on being part of the fight. Naruto didn't want this, but he couldn't refuse them. They were each among the strongest in Konoha and they were equally as stubborn. That being said, Yami was assigned guard duty, Rias, Hikari and Shin were on kid duty and the rest of the Senju family was getting ready to kick some ass. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.